Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're tuning in. This is Susan Treadgold. I am the host of the High Performing Woman Talk Show. And on this talk show, I like to shine a light on female founders and female funders. As we know, female founders only get 2 to 4% of venture capital, and female founders and accelerators are also few and far between. So on this show, I am really trying to raise the visibility of those women that are making an amazing difference here. Now, and you can find the episodes on YouTube under the High Performing Woman. So please do like and subscribe so you can be notified of the episodes coming out. So today's topic, we're diving into championing FemTech. This is a critical conversation at the intersection of innovation and women's health. The global FemTech market is projected to be 100 billion by 2030. Yet less than 10% of health tech VC funding goes towards women's health. And so I am honored to have Hope Khoury with us today, who's making an amazing impact in this area. So welcome, Hope.
Hello, Susan.
You seem to be frozen, but
I'm here.
okay. Okay, well, hopefully we can continue on and we're not going to have a problem with that. I see you now. Let me
Okay.
just give a little introduction to Hope. If you have any, so you're going in and out. So if you have anything else on that is using Wi-Fi, because this takes a lot of bandwidth, if you could just shut it off. If you have like a printer near you or like a mobile phone or anything else, that would be great. But I can see you fine right now.
Yeah.
So Hope is a pharmacologist, inventor, co-founder of Go Vertical ICM, and she also has an R&D firm, Michael and Hope, that helps founders turn complex hardware, medical devices, and femtech innovations into market-ready products. And through programs like the Strategic Discovery Program, the Creator Accelerator Program, and the FemTech Accelerator, she has supported and overseen the development of more than 250 innovations globally. So her work sits at the intersection of women's health, IP strategy, and manufacturing. And so she's super passionate about closing gaps in women's health research and building real practical pathways for FemTech founders who often struggle to access technical, regulatory, and commercialization report. So, and like finally, I just wanted to say she founded the Hope Project, which is an R&D initiative focused on prevention-based approach to uterine fibroids. And that is kind of inspired by her own medical journey and background in hormonal balance and inflammatory pathways. So we're going to hear a little bit about that as well. So welcome, Hope. That was a mouthful. There's so many things that you're doing. I had, so much to share.
Yes, we are. We have quite a lot of initiatives because we know the inventors struggle and we are trying to help them navigate the process smoothly every day. Uh, Especially now, we're focusing more and more on FemTech, and it's my personal initiative as well for women health improvement and innovations.
Yeah, I love that. So, you've been working with femtech founders around the world.
Yeah.
What are some of the biggest gaps you see between having a great idea and actually getting a product into women's hands?
So, what I see the most is not the lack of ideas, it's actually translating the vision, the evidence, and the execution. We have seen many femtech founders that understand the intimate understanding of the problem, but because it happened to them, just like my situation. But the struggle is clinical and regulatory road mapping. So They don't understand or know what kind of evidence we need to take it to the market, in which sequence, how we move from a concept to something that a clinician, a regulator, or a payer can trust. And also, there is a problem in the product market fit. Let's say, when you're taking a product to the healthcare industry, it's different when you're selling it directly to the consumer. So, when you are designing a nice app, let's say, or an interesting supplement, it's not the same way when you're going to take it through a clinician or through a regulatory body or through a payer that they would want to trust you so they can have your product within the system.
Right.
Eventually, the result is powerful ideas are stalling in prototypes and pitch decks, but they're not going anywhere. And this is where they need the help.
The devil's in the detail, right?
Yeah.
So, a lot of women's health innovations also struggle to get funding. And
True.
that's something that I like helping with and giving some exposure here, or to be taken seriously. In your view, what are some practical steps that funders can take to really become investor ready?
First of all, when it comes to specifically women's health, we start the story from a pain story, right? It's something that is happening either to us or the surrounding. But when it comes to investors, we have to lead with the problem size. So an investor wants to see the epidemiology, the cost burden, how much the consumer is willing to pay for this product, other than our own personal narrative. It's important, the mission, but they want to also know the risk. We have to link the lived experience to a quantified market. And this
Right.
is something that is very important. Second point is
Just on
if
that point, before you go to the second point, I mean, is there any barriers to that? I mean, is there data available? I mean, have women's like problems really been tracked? Is there sufficient data, or where do people go to like, you have this lived experience and you're wondering, is there anyone else out there? I mean, it seems like only in the last 5 years people have been talking about menopause symptoms. Like, you
True.
know, it's like, yeah.
It's simple for me. What I would always tell our inventors or any femtech founder that I'm talking with, start with your circle. Ask people around you first. What are they experiencing? Ask your clinician, because clinicians will have a lot of experience based on the patients that they are seeing. Start from there and then start expanding. But there is data. It's not very huge as you see it in different sectors and markets, but we are still building this data. And it's a starting point, something that we can start working with. And from there, we can start quantifying this market that we are entering and showing the investor what we are targeting and how we can approach this market. Because what matters to them is simply de risking the risk that is already there. And we
Right.
have to show that to them.
Right. Okay, you were going to go on to a second point, or was that the second
Yes.
point? Yeah.
The second point is one of the most important points that we always see and we always hear. I will leave regulatory pathways to a second step. Well, no. An investor, when they are hearing your idea, your product, even if it's an app, they want to know what is the regulatory pathway. They want to know that you know what is the strategy. If you don't know, this is a red flag. We
Yeah.
have to start these conversations early so that serious investors assess the risk properly. And based on that, they will make informed decisions.
Yes.
I
I
have
mean,
more
and
if you
and, and
want.
there's yeah, yeah. I mean, there's all sorts of different regulatory pathways, whether you're piggybacking and improving on an existing technology, or
Sure.
whether it's going to be a complete breakthrough designation. But the way you do things are going to be very different. You need to know, you almost have to start with the end in mind, right?
Yes, but it's important to understand it properly, to understand how we're going to execute it, because each pathway, just like you mentioned, they are different, they are complicated, and they have their own challenges. So a founder duty is to know all of these before sitting in front of an investor, so they can show that they understand what they are doing, what is expected of them as a founder, and what is the risk of this invention. So if it's a class 2 with a 510K is different from if it's a class 1 with a simple registration with the FDA, or if it's a de novo that requires a lot of clinical trials and clinical evidence.
Right. Exactly.
My
So,
next point would be for you also, Susan, which is very, very important, is the unit economics. You cannot sit with an investor in any sector, I would say, without knowing how much it's going to cost you to manufacture your product, how much it's going to cost you to design your product. The mission and the margins have to coexist together. Otherwise, the investor will lose interest right away.
absolutely. And that's something that a lot of people really, that's a hard thing for a lot of
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
So can you walk through how Go Vertical, and your FemTech Accelerator program supports founders, like all the way from like strategic discovery and patentability through to manufacturing and commercialization and understanding all of those pathways? I really love to hear what you actually do for female founders.
So, when we first receive an idea from a founder, what we usually start with is the Strategic Discovery Program. This program is a simple 4 week program that will allow any idea, if it's an early stage, even if it's an idea in your mind with no patents, nothing at all, just to make you investor ready. It will assess the feasibility from a patentability perspective, from an engineering perspective, from a manufacturability perspective, and finally from a commercialization approach.
Right.
Meaning, at the end of this program, you are ready to pitch an investor because you have all your data, even though you don't have a prototype yet, but you have the right data that you can show to your potential investors and explain to them what you are willing to achieve. For independent inventors and early stage startups that are willing to go forward, so we have the Creation Accelerator program. This one is to actually execute the process. This is where we will proceed with the intellectual property services. We will do the engineering process. We will do prototyping, testing, and manufacturing. The beauty of these programs is that they are structured to help inventors and early stage startups financially. So they are structured on a flat rate monthly that would allow them to navigate this long process in a very structural, organized manner. The point is to execute properly, not fast, but not too slow, making sure that every step is based on informed decisions, is based on data and on science. And finally, the FemTech Accelerator program that we launched this quarter. This is a specialized program for FemTech founders only. We decided to launch it based on a very interesting success story that we had recently with a femtech founder who
Yeah.
was able to secure a partnership deal for 20 million euros because of what we worked on with her. So, what we did in this program, if someone is not looking for execution, they just want mentorship and advising, this is where they can go. The FemTech Accelerator program will be suitable for people looking to have structured pathways, expert guidance without the execution part, but someone to hold their hands and tell them,
Right.
this is what you need to do here and now and next.
You've got something for everyone. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. So is this is the one of the ones that you're talking about, right?
It's the Creation Accelerator program, what we're seeing on the screen. This
Yeah,
is the execution of R&D, branding, and getting the product ready for manufacturing.
got it. So for women watching who have an idea in women's health, but feel intimidated by R&D, patents or regulations, can you just reconfirm where would they start?
I would say always start small with your idea. Just like you asked me a little bit, um, who do I ask? What should I do? First, speak with like 15, 20 women, your friends, family, acquaintances. Ask them if this problem that you are facing, is it the same for them or is it different? It doesn't always start in a lab. It starts in real life, and you just need to recognize the pattern. So, when you listen to the common language of the experience that you are looking for, if it's your experience, let's say, and you're hearing the same language of the symptoms that happen to you, that are happening with others, when you listen to the barriers, when you listen to the workarounds, this is where you start. You have a concept now that theoretically can work. All you need to do is take another step and start to map a simple evidence and understand from a regulatory perspective what you need to do to get your first proof, which is in a simple sketch. We can write it on a paper and understand, okay, this is my idea. These are the things that women founder
The back of
my
the envelope stuff.
yes. These are the women, their reviews, the clinicians, their reviews. Okay, so these are the similarities, these are the difference. Where do I want to dig further? Doing a lot of research is very important. Understanding it is very important. And then starting to understand your regulatory pathway, because we're talking about women's health and femtech. This is going to be regulated 100% most of the time. And
Yes.
then go to patents. When you validate that your idea is needed, when you validate that your idea is unique, when you validate that your idea is um, needed in your circle, not just for you, and you have a lot of barriers, you have a lot of activity being done in this area, but not particularly like yours, then you start looking into patents. Inventors tend to do that in the opposite direction. They start with the patent or trying to get a patent, and then they do the research and the workflow. It's totally the opposite.
That's like a
We
solution looking for a problem. You need to start with the
exactly.
problem before you go. Yeah, okay.
And then once you're done with the IP part, then you start with the execution. But the most important thing, never ever do it alone, because your idea is deeply personal, and it doesn't matter if it's not scientifically proven. So you have to do it with people that knows the data, that knows science. Even if you understand science, you are always subjective to your idea. You're never objective. You need
True.
people who are objectively giving you their opinion about your invention to help you improve it and make the best outcome.
That's some true wisdom there. So I'd like to get into something a little bit more personal now. Um, I'd like, well, I'd like you to tell us about the Hope Project. And I was thinking that, well, yeah, tell us a bit about that, and then you can, I think we have, uterine fibroids. I mean, maybe start with explaining what those are.
So, uterine fibroids are very common conditions that we and fibroadenomas that we women we have them. 70% of women in their life cycle will have uterine fibroids. So this is a topic that today, if we look at all the topics in women's health, no one is talking about, because for us, when we have a uterine fibroid, all we need to do is simply go to the doctor, get a hormone therapy to shrink them if we can, or do a surgery. Well, this is not something that is the ideal solution. And when you hear people talking about hysterectomies or myomectomies, they make it look simple. Well, it's not. The whole project started originally with my personal experience, which is rare, but it happened to me. I was 28 years old and I was diagnosed with a simple 18 centimeter uterine fibroid. It
It
was
doesn't sound
blocking.
so simple.
Yeah, but the radiologist, when she was telling me that I have a fibroid, she said it's a simple, beautiful uterine fibroid, and I can never forget that in my life.
Simple,
And
beautiful.
yeah, she combined those two words. Yeah. So that day was the worst day of my life. I can tell you that. I was admitted to the emergency room because when they saw what's going on, it was like blocking my colon, my bladder, and my uterus. And they were in a very delicate situation. I never had any symptom at all when I was diagnosed. It was 18 centimeters. This is not a small uterine fibroid at all. So when this happened and I had the surgery, which was not simple as well, even though you are always this is a simple myomectomy. It's simple to remove a uterine fibroid. Well, it wasn't. And after my recovery, it took me almost 2 years to recover from it mentally.
Oh
It was
my
very traumatic.
goodness. Wow.
And after that, ever since, I was worried all the time. What if this happens again? What would I do? I spoke with my doctors back then, and they told me that you have to check every 6 months. And even when I did, I got uterine fibroids again. There was nothing to stop them from growing again because I have a genetic problem like most women have. But you always hear doctors, why do I have a uterine fibroid? You get an answer that, oh, you have it because maybe your hormone levels are increased. Oh, maybe you have it because you're smoking, or you're having it because you have stress. We don't know the actual cause of uterine fibroid until this moment. So, what I decided to make out of this experience is an initiative to find a way to prevent them. Today, at my age, I'm still struggling with them. I still do intensive testing every once and then just to make sure they're not growing. There is nothing that is out there in the market that is preventing uterine fibroid. All that doctors are doing are giving hormone therapy just to maintain a situation, manage a symptom until the time of the surgery is there, which is to remove this uterine fibroid. And at some point in life, they ask you to remove the whole uterus. So I wanted to stop this with my experience, but also my background in pharmacology. We spent the last 3 years working theoretically in the lab how we can create a product that would allow us to prevent the inflammatory pathways that are causing uterine fibroids to grow, and how we can control a hormone level in in the most natural aspect that we can without affecting them, without touching these levels like a hormone therapy, just to maintain them naturally stable so we can avoid the growth of a uterine fibroid. Today, theoretically and in the lab, we're done. Our next step is going to be our first preclinical validation, where we will test it on actual human cells to see if it's going to work or not before taking it to clinical trials. So today we launched the Hope project. It was named the Hope not because it's my name, because it's a hope for a prevention to prevent all these women from having such a silent condition that no one is ever
Right. I
mentioning.
mean, just maybe you can speak to some of these. I mean, these are some big numbers here.
When we see a global uterine fibroid market, it's 40 billion euros, and it's expecting to grow by 2028. Um, the target is here to target women between 18 and 45 years old, not the ones that are reaching menopause. We are talking about the young women and girls
Right.
that are having these uterine fibroids. They are at the beginning of their life, and they should not be affected in their lifestyles because of uterine fibroids. And today, when we are proposing the idea to any investor who are in the medical device world, they are against it because it affects the tools of hysterectomy, the tools of hormone therapy, which is not a good solution for them. But we decided to go to the people, to the women that are suffering. You have no idea every day how many messages I receive from women telling me their stories about what happened because of uterine fibroids. And I was really, really amazed by the kind of stories that I'm reading. And this is why I'm going to take the whole project all the way. So we decided to launch the fundraise campaign through GoFundMe, not something luxurious, because I wanted every woman experiencing this problem, or potentially knowing someone experiencing this problem, to know that we are working towards a prevention method and to be part of this movement. Because it's not about the product, just that. It's about the movement to change the lifestyle, to help women prevent, not just treat what we have. We have to prevent these conditions from happening because
Right.
they really affect our well being.
So they can find, I'm conscious of time right now. I want to just ask a couple of other things, but they can find and contribute to the Hope Project on GoFundMe.
Yes, we will share
Okay.
with them the link if you'd
Yes,
like,
we
so
can
we
we can
can.
do that afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. Now, you have a competition, if I understand
Yes.
correctly.
So let me tell you a little bit about this one. So this is the FemTech Accelerator program that I mentioned earlier. We have a competition running until the end of this year. And this was our way to give back to the community. So we're gonna, at the end of this competition, we will have one winner. This winner will have a 1 year free of mentorship throughout this year. This has to be a femtech founder, so they have to be developing a product that is related to femtech, and they will receive a 1 full year free of charge. The five runner-ups will receive 50% discounts and more rewards related to all the programs that we run at Go Vertical ICM.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you for doing that. So, where do they go to apply for this? Will we do we have a link for this?
Yes, we do have a link. I will share it with you so we can share it with everyone who's interested. They can reach out to you, and the form will be within your reach, so they can fill out. It's a form with that we have to collect some information, and then everyone will be notified early January about who won the competition and who is the runner-up.
Very exciting. So, anybody who's interested in participating, please reach out to me, and I'll make sure that you get this link. And otherwise, this is where people can. Oh, we've got the GoFundMe there.
Yeah.
Um, And I'm not sure about this link right here, the middle one, that Um, we'll have a separate link if you want to apply to the competition. So I'll get that to you. So wonderful. I love what you're doing, and it's really about execution. I mean, like you said, there's no shortage of ideas out there, but actually making sure that you're aware of the devil in the detail, the regulatory pathways, how you're going to how you're going to make this happen.
True.
um, and so I love that you're lifting that load for a lot of femtech founders. That is absolutely brilliant. So thank you so much. It was such a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you
And
for having me.
yeah, and we'll
And
have this
thank you for shedding the light on women's health and femtech because this is a very important topic. And I believe hand in hand, all of us women, when we do that together, we will make a huge difference. So thank you.
yes, my pleasure. All right. Thank you, Hope.
Thank you. Have a good day.